Thank you. Good.
Okay, great. I'm going to start it now.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on how to network effectively using LinkedIn. This was certainly a hot topic. We got over 200 registrants for today's broadcast, so we're so excited for you all to be here. My name is Alexandra Stevens, and I work out of the Hyatt Career Center at Brandeis, and I will be moderating our discussion today with our presenter, Jason Sanders. So just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. We will be getting started right at noon today because there's so much content to cover. I think we could just talk about LinkedIn all day long. But a couple things. We're going to be launching a few poll questions to make this as interactive as possible. So they'll pop up on your screen throughout the presentation and you can just answer them quickly and we'll share the results with everyone. I also want to let you know that we will be leaving time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So whenever you do think of a question, be sure to submit it through your GoToWebinar control panel question box, and we'll get to as many questions as possible at the end of today's presentation. Because we're expecting so many alumni to be attending live today, we will not be using the raise hand function. So if you do have any questions, just submit them through the box. I'm assuming you can all hear me okay, but if you wouldn't mind letting me know by typing it into the question box, yes, I can hear you just fine, that would be great. And we'll be getting started in just literally one more minute. Okay, great. Thank you all for letting me know you can hear me. You're also letting me know that you found the question box, so that's great. For those of you who need to pop out quickly, maybe you need to eat lunch or go back to work or what have you, this webinar will be recorded and posted online later this afternoon. So all of our webinars are always posted online and recorded. You can access them on the alumni career website at alumni.brandeis.edu/careers. So all right, it is noon, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar on how to network effectively using LinkedIn, sponsored by the Hyatt Career Center at Brandeis University. My name is Alexandra Stevens, and I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Career Programs here at Hyatt, and I'm so excited for you all to be with us today about this really important, popular topic. I want to introduce our speaker to you, Jason Sanders. Jason leads a highly successful recruiting practice and has placed million-dollar executives for global consulting firms such as Deloitte, Accenture, and Ernst & Young. Over the past 20 years, he's helped thousands of professionals develop career plans and find exciting new positions. Jason recently founded Linked Internationally, a group dedicated to providing online courses for job seekers on how they can use this tool to its fullest. Jason has spoken to thousands of professionals at networking functions throughout the New York area, and he trains professionals who want to improve their communications through his highly interactive workshops like the one you're about to experience today. So he's the founder of Linked Internationally. He's also the managing director of Flycast Executive Search, and he got his master's in Jewish history from Brandeis. So we're so excited to have you here with us today, Jason. I know you have a lot to cover.
I do. Thanks, Alexandra. I appreciate that. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome everybody. It's great to be speaking with a group of Brandeis alum. I appreciate you taking the time and checking us out and coming to this webinar. We have got a lot to cover today. Before we start, though, I'd like to make sure that we're all together, that cell phones are off, that Facebook is off, email is off, and that you've got something to write with as well. There are going to be things in here that you're going to want to take notes on. And let's get ready to learn. What you're going to learn today are the critical elements that you need to know in order to be able to work effectively with LinkedIn. These are some of the basic things that you need to have in order to be able to use the website. I'm also going to share with you some power user secrets, some hot tips that will allow you to do just that. And the other thing that I'm going to share are some of the core elements of the system that we use in order to be able to deploy LinkedIn most effectively. Does anybody recognize the page on the right? That is the new home page that LinkedIn has been rolling out. We've got the old one there on the left. This is the only picture that I could find with these side by side, so it's a little fuzzy, but if you noticed on the left it's gray, on the right it is blue. So I'm curious to know how many people have the new LinkedIn interface yet. And Alexandra's going to throw up a poll. Now there are some differences here that basically the fundamentals of what we're going to be talking about today will apply to either interface. It doesn't make a difference which one. So we're not going to go through some of the changes and things like the search function, for example, which has changed pretty dramatically. And that is something that you will need to learn or relearn as the interface rolls out. And a lot of people have complained about it, frankly. But that is a longer discussion, one that we're not going to do here. This is going to be a discussion for everybody, regardless of which platform you have.
Absolutely. So Jason, people are weighing in now. If you haven't voted in yet, let us know if you have the new interface, and then I'll share the results with you. So everyone has pretty much weighed in. We're going to close the poll and share the results. So it looks like it's split. So about 40% do have the new interface, 23% no, about a third don't know. So
that means no.
We got a couple questions in here. Is there even a choice to use the old one? The answer is no. So once LinkedIn does move you into the new one, you're set with the new one.
Yeah, and you'll know it too. So if you don't know, then the likelihood is that you've got the old one. So, all right, good. Now, if you're here, you probably have a pretty good idea that LinkedIn is a really powerful website. I found a few statistics that I thought were interesting, and I'll just let you take a look at them for just a moment, because it really is a very powerful way, whether you're looking for a new position or looking to grow your business. You can find a lot in LinkedIn, and it is something that a lot of employers and people that may be clients and people that are looking to buy from you will be using. The shot on the bottom right is a screenshot that I took from my screen a few weeks ago, which showed the total number of people on LinkedIn, so nearly 500 million. I wonder if they're going to set off fireworks when they hit the 500 million mark. I imagine that there'll be some party there. It's probably not too long away from now either. A lot of people think that LinkedIn is difficult to use, but in fact, you can master this program regardless, or this website regardless of your background. If you're not naturally a salesperson, or if you're shy, or if you're not really a social media person, I don't use Facebook, for example, you still will be able to use LinkedIn. Certainly its basic functions, and really you'll be able to use it in a powerful way regardless, even if you don't know where to get started with the website. And this is our process. The first thing you want to do is set up your profile. Your profile is not your resume, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. It is a marketing document, and it's something that's forward-looking, not backward-looking. We're going to talk about reconnecting with your existing network, which is the most powerful asset that you have when you're using LinkedIn. It's the group of people that you've had contact with over the years. We're going to talk about inviting new people, and especially using a system, sending them emails, generating opportunities, and then ultimately getting the new job or the clients that you want. Now, I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, and Alexandra mentioned just a quick intro, but just to give you a little more depth, I have an executive recruiting business that we've built to over 7 figures using the LinkedIn platform. And in the course of that, and in the course of my career, I've placed hundreds of professionals internationally and have counseled thousands of people all over the world about how to move their careers and their businesses forward. I've taught thousands of students in almost 120 countries. Most of these have been on the Udemy platform. I have courses there. But it wasn't always this way. And if you ever had an office that looked something like this, then you're as old as me or close. We got started back in the 90s when we did not have computers in our offices, and so our executive search business was built on file folders, fax resumes. People would send their resumes to us by email. It was a telephone-based business, and it was one that was very profitable, successful, and the success came from the power of the network that we had. It was inaccessible to others other than us. We had sort of this black box that we could reach into, and people took our phone calls when, candidates, for example, would take our phone calls and they would network with us because they knew that we had a key to moving their career forward. And it was a very strong, profitable business that we had. Now along came LinkedIn, and I signed up pretty early, 2005. And that made me one of the first few million, and so that became then a kind of a replacement for, or not a replacement, but an adjunct, an add-on to what we were doing with our paper files, our faxed resumes, and so forth. And we were doing the same kind of thing, whether it was LinkedIn or whether it was the resumes or what have you. But as time went on, things started changing, and the way that we needed to use LinkedIn changed as well. And yet we were still using, in a lot of cases, the same old techniques. And the old techniques are represented by the phone in the middle there. So for those of you that don't recognize that is a rotary phone. And we actually had the push button ones in our office, but that was the way that we were getting in touch with candidates. But using that as LinkedIn became larger and a more important way that people were finding open positions, it stopped working as well, and we lost clients. We had searches that failed. We just weren't able to get people on the phone in the same way until we worked out some of the systems that we needed to in order to be able to use LinkedIn effectively. And as we did that, both in terms of the positions that we were looking to place as recruiters, the people we were looking to place as recruiters, and also in identifying new clients and building relationships with clients, then our business started to thrive again. And it got to the point where we were basically made LinkedIn a center part of our business, and the services that we provide are very much reliant on LinkedIn. And our clients are very aware of that, and they know that this is a primary tool that we use in our business. So let's get started with our content. I know that that's really what you came here for. And we're going to start at the beginning, the headline and the job title. There is a difference between these two. I'm going to show you where they sit in just a moment, but it's important to know that the headline is the first thing that you see under your name, and the job title is what you see next to the company that you're working for. And if you are not aware of the difference between the two, then probably what's happened is the job title and your headline are the same, because LinkedIn defaults your headline to be your job title. But that is not what we want to have for you, because it is not the most effective way to use the headline portion of your LinkedIn profile, because the headline is more visible when somebody searches for you, and your job title is not, and so you want to be able to project that in an effective way. The headline needs to be keyword optimized. As far as I can tell, the headline is more important in getting your profile closer to the top of search results. I don't know this for sure. I have definitely not cracked the code on the LinkedIn algorithm, the search algorithm, and I don't know that anybody really has, but it seems to me that as I do searches, keywords that show up in the headline more and more, and we see those we see those in the headline, in some cases more than in the job title. It makes it easy for somebody to see who you are and what you do, because it is the largest part of your profile apart from your name and your picture. And the other thing that's very important, and this is something that is running through this presentation and is something to keep in mind when you're looking at LinkedIn in general, is that it is aspirational, that it is a marketing document. It is not a CV. It is not a resume. It's not backward looking. It's forward looking. And that's not to say that you don't have your history and past in it, but the purpose of it is for the future. Now, this is the difference here, and this is the new interface. This is what it looks like when you do a search. And the search I did there was for executive, and you'll see Richard Woody in red, and all of the arrows in red are pointing towards the headline, and all of the arrows in green are pointing towards the job title. And so you can see just by the size of it how much more the headline stands out. And in these cases, I think in every case here, the title and the headline are the same, which means that these people are really wasting the real estate, because you can use that title to express something different and still, you can use the headline to express something different, and the title will still reflect what it is that you're doing now. This is what it looks like when you are looking at at the full profile, and you'll see the headline is what you see first, and the title is actually buried a couple of sections down under experience. And so again, we want to make sure that that headline is conveying what it is that you want it to convey. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to create a rough draft of your new headline, and the way to do it is to follow these 4 steps. So I'd like you to take out a pencil or a pad or a Word, your Word program, or whatever it is that you write things down with, and write down the type of organization that you help. And that could be anything from a financial services company, a bank, it could be a university, it could be a charity, anything that sort of defines that. And the more specific you can be, the better. So if you say a consumer bank, it's better than just a bank. And if you say a consumer bank that lends to the middle market, let's say, then that's gets even more specific. So something like that you want to write down. The problem you solve, and the problem could be something like a company losing money, or an organization losing employees, or a company not growing quickly enough, or anything like that. And again, the more specific you can be, the better. You'll want to write down 3 keywords, and these are going to be things that you're going to work in to the title itself. So we'll get 3. We may just use 1, but if there are 3 that describe you other than your job title is now your ideal job title, and this is something that you can play with a little bit, because if you're a director and you want to be a vice president, you can't really put vice president in your job title, but you do want to give some indication that you are of a certain level of seniority, that people will take a look at you. So hopefully, as I was talking there and describing these, you've been able to write all of those down. And now we're going to plug them into this system. And this is going to give you a foundation for creating your title. It may not give you the final version, but it will give you at least something to start with. And I'm going to show you what this looks like as well for what somebody else has done. So I'm going to show you an example as well, but just write that down for just a moment. And this is one that I came up with, and I'm going to leave this up here. I'm going to tell you what that link is about in just a second. But just to see project manager helping banks acquire customers in the consumer lending area, and you can see that this fits each one of those. This is not a title. A title might, for somebody like this, might be project manager at Citibank, right? And in that case, it's not giving you that much to go on. In this case, if somebody is looking up, let's say a recruiter is looking for a project manager in consumer lending, this is going to hit keywords, and it's going to more clearly define who you are and what you do, so that people can that people will get in touch with you. Well, they're more likely to get in touch with you, and you're pre-qualifying people both in and out, because you don't want the wrong people contacting you either and wasting your time. The link at the bottom, we have a free ebook. If you're interested in getting it, you can just write that down, and you can download an ebook that has 5 top quality headlines that I consider to be of the best types. One of them is using this system that I just outlined, and the others are different ways to write those headlines. I'm going to leave this up for just one more slide, and then it's going to disappear. But quickly, to do a poll, how satisfied are you with your LinkedIn profile?
So we're launching our second poll here, folks. Just a quick pulse check. How satisfied are you with your LinkedIn profile as it stands? I know a lot of us don't give it as much attention as it needs, and so maybe today is the kick in the pants that we need to start updating that. But is it awesome? Does it do the job? Does it need a little bit of work? Or do you not even want to think about it at this point? And then we'll share the results, and you'll see you're probably not alone. Give you a couple more seconds to weigh in, and then I will close the poll and share the results with all of you. All right, Jason, so it looks like the vast majority are like, it needs work, / I don't even want to think about it.
Right, okay, all right, good. Well, you have come to the right place, at least to get yourself started with this. The first thing to recognize is that your profile is not your resume. It's not your CV. Of course, it has your job history in it, but it is something different than it has a different function, has a different purpose. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this one based on that. So I don't want to take too much away from the end. But there were enough people that were at the more frustrated end of that poll, we'll call it, that I want to take just a minute on this. The basic idea here with a resume is that a resume provides factual information for an interviewer, and in some cases it is a part of a job application, and so it needs to be really factually accurate. And I've seen times where people write things in on a resume that are not factually accurate, and they have problems. In fact, I know of at least one case where somebody was fired for that reason. So with a resume, you really need to be careful. LinkedIn profile is not that. A LinkedIn profile does not need to be factual in the strict sense. A LinkedIn profile is a marketing document. It's something that's designed to get people's attention about you. I don't know that anybody's ever been fired because of their LinkedIn profile. I'm sure it must have happened here, or must have happened somewhere, but you have a lot more room to play around with it, and just with the idea of getting people attracted to your profile. For example, just answer this in your mind. If you live in New York and you are looking for a position in San Francisco, where do you put your city on your LinkedIn profile? You live in New York, you're looking for a job in San Francisco. What should your LinkedIn profile say is your city? If you said San Francisco, you're right. And here's why. People that are looking, this is particularly for job seekers, right? So if you are looking for a position in San Francisco, recruiters are going to look for San Francisco candidates in San Francisco, and they will be sorting profiles based on that location. So if you're in New York, the likelihood of you getting called on a San Francisco position or opening is going to be much lower. So you want to make sure that you have an address that is related to the place where you want to be, and that flows throughout the LinkedIn profile. Everything in there, you want to make it look like you are the person that you want to be. If you have if you've done one project in I don't know, the pharmaceutical industry, and you've done 50 projects in financial services, but you want to find a job in the pharmaceutical industry, then the first thing on your profile will be that pharmaceutical industry project that you managed, and then you can follow it up with the financial services. So just to keep in mind that you want to emphasize the things that relate to what it is that you want to do. The other thing that's important is you need to show that you address a business problem, that you are a solution to something, not just listing out what you've done in the past, but demonstrating that you can actually help somebody solve a problem. And part of that is by recognizing the problem and demonstrating that in your profile. So let's take a quick look at a profile here, and I'll show you what these elements are. Let's see here. Oh, Bob. Okay, here's Bob Zamblin. And just to start with, you'll see his headline very much fits what we just went through. So the title here, increasing profits, is his action through technology and process improvement. Those are some keywords, and he is missing something, which is who he does it for, which would be, maybe consumer products companies or something like that. But anyway, that's his headline. Now we go down into the summary. Just quickly, you'll see the contact information being in there is important because and especially in the summary, it doesn't need to be the first line, but it's important because it costs people money to get in touch with you using the internal email system called InMail. And you make it easier for people by doing this, and you make it free for people by including your contact information. What you've got here are 3 paragraphs that outline 3 important components of a profile, and that is the definition of who you are, and that's in sentence or in paragraph 1. You have a definition of the problem that the person solves, and that shows that you get it, right? So I'm going to move this aside here. That shows that you get it. So if you can identify the problem, if you sort of even rub a little salt in the wound to some degree, agitate the problem to some degree, it shows that you get it and you know what it is that you're the solution to. And then of course the final paragraph is about how Bob solves these problems. And the best profiles will include these components. They may include others, but in a lot of cases it makes sense for a summary section to be short because people don't have long attention spans, and you want to make sure that you're getting your message across in the quickest possible way, and not defining the company, for example, that you're working for. A lot of people use this to say, well, I work for a company that does XYZ. That's not really where you want to go. You want to go to what it is that you can do for another company and think about the future and be aspirational. And then we'll just quickly go down to his experience, and this is more like a CV. The important things to note here are there is a clear result, saved money, reduced IT operating costs, increased customers and sales, very clear action-oriented words that speak to solving a business problem, and they are quantified. They're quantified through 90 million, 14 billion, 11.5%, 12.5%, and those kinds of things. So to the degree that you can quantify and let people know what the impact is that you've had, you will create a more successful profile. All right, let's go back here. All right, so that's creating the profile. Now, once you've got that together, you want to start making your presence known on LinkedIn. And you're making your presence known for 3 reasons. One is you want to stay in front of the people who you are interested in. You want to create top of mind awareness with them, which means that you're going to show up in their homepage feed, for example. You're also going to publish for credibility, so that when somebody is looking at your profile, they see that you're a credible professional. And finally, you want to attract people to your profile, but you only want to attract the people that you want there. So you want it to be targeted, and that is going to come from publishing the right things. Let's see. This we're going to get to, but before we do that, let me show you where this is done in case you are not aware of it. On the top here, you've got share an article, photo, or update. The article, photo, and update, you can simply write in there if you want. There are all different kinds of things that you can do, but putting anything in here will show up in the homepage feed of people that are in your network. Now, one of the things that's cool to do is you can actually go and grab an article from another website if you want and share it. So, and if you do a Control-C or a right-click copy and then bring it over here and do a Control-V or paste, it will actually show up like this. So now it associates your name and profile with a nice big thing that's going to show up in somebody's profile, and you can take this right away and then write something about, here is what I think about this. You can write anything, and then your profile will be associated with that. Now you can do this several times a day because people don't go on their news feed all the time, so you could space it out or you could time it. There are tools for doing that as well. Maybe you do it once a day, but this is something that you can do for top of mind awareness. The other thing to do, which has a little bit different effect, and let's just get back to my homepage real quick. Delete, is to write an article. And this is a long form blog post. When you click on this, what happens is you come to a blog post area with picture, where you can add a picture, headline, you can write paragraphs. This is a very different kind of event. It really is a blogging event. So you're going to want to write several paragraphs. Now the nice thing about this is it will share further than a post. It's a bit more permanent. People are more likely to comment on it, and even more importantly, it shows up in your profile. So just so you can take a look here, this is Robert Peoples. He now has a headline, which is his title. So it doesn't show us very much, as we can see. But as we scroll down and we take a look at his articles and activity, you can see on the right are his activities. So that will give you an idea that you really want to comment, share things that are going to be beneficial to you when people look at your profile, that they're going to see these are the kinds of things that you're interested in. So that means that there may be things that you want to stay away from sharing and commenting on if they don't suit the kind of image that you want to project. But here on the left, you'll see the best leaders talk the walk. This is a long form post that Robert put into LinkedIn, and the reason why I'm pointing it out is that it shows up as a highlighted area. It catches the eye. There's a picture there. It talks about how the kind of thing that he's interested in, and you want to use this in order to make a good impression when people are looking at your profile, because in this case it's actually before you even get to the experience section. So I want to show you a couple of cool tricks. So this is number one. Okay, when you share something on LinkedIn, and try to stay with me here for a second. When you share an article on LinkedIn, a lot of times it will share just to the one to the home page. So we did this before. We did a Control paste, and then when we share, we've got a couple of options. We've got public and Twitter, and connections. All right. So these are the possibilities. These are the things that you have to choose. But if you want to do something with groups, so you want to share it more broadly, this is a trick that you can use. There is a Chrome extension called LinkedIn Share. And this is the cool thing about this. It will give you even broader reach with whatever it is that you want to share. And I'll show you how that is done. So rather than doing this with this article, as I did a copy paste, I would go to the page with the article, and having that extension installed, which is up here on the right, I can right click, and because I have that installed, I get share on LinkedIn. I hit share on LinkedIn, and this is the cool part. This comes up. This little box comes up. I can do the same thing as before, make a comment. But here, I've got the opportunity to post to groups, and that expands your reach by a lot, because you may be in groups of people in groups with thousands of people in them, and you can then start typing the name, and you could actually get it out to all of your different groups if you wanted to. So I could now start filling these in like this. So there's a little bit of a side tip for you, maybe more of an advanced user kind of thing, but hopefully you'll find that useful. I think it's a really cool little extension that you can use. Now, let's see, we already did this. Blog post is important. And now here. So you might be saying to yourself, if you're not a blogger, well, how am I going to write a blog post? What a pain. I don't even have 3 paragraphs in me, let alone a blog post. So first of all, 3 paragraphs is enough. You don't need to make yourself crazy trying to write an article like the New York Times. And if you go out, you can find plenty of places that will give you tips on how to write a blog post. Here's mine on how to write a blog post for LinkedIn. First of all, Google the name of the field that you're in. Step 2, hit the news tab. Step 3, find an article that interests you. Step 4, summarize the article like you're writing a book report. And then, and very importantly, include a link. If you have a landing page, someplace where you capture email addresses, for example, or a website or something like that, then include a link there, or include your contact information. There's a good possibility that someone's going to take a look at your profile anyway, and they could be in touch there. But if your contact information is there, you make it that much easier. I'll take a break and take a sip of water while Alexandra conducts this poll. How often do you send a note to someone in your existing network?
So I'm sorry, Jason, I don't have this one launched. So if those of you, if you want to just let me know by submitting through the question box really quickly, I can summarize the results. So how often do you send a note to someone in your existing network? So it's someone you're already connected to on LinkedIn, first degree connections. Okay, a lot of you are weighing in here. Never, never, never. Sometimes, but not even once a week, not even once a month, rarely, not often. Yeah, I think this is proving your point, isn't it, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Nice idea here. Birthdays and new jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So sending congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Great. All right. Good. This is your existing network is your most powerful asset on LinkedIn by far, no question about it. And LinkedIn actually makes it easy for you to send notes like congratulations and happy birthday, and you've switched jobs. And if you're really feeling jaunty, I guess you could congratulate people on their work anniversaries, which I think is a little bit strange, but I do also like it because it means that once a year, most people, I don't know about everybody, but most people are going to show up in your feed so that you have at least a reminder that they exist. Now, this is a really cool thing to do, but I just want to see. I think I had, this is something here. Okay. This is a feed here. It's under notifications here, and you can actually scroll through different things that people are showing up for. So here are people for not work anniversaries. It seems to be the most common, and a lot of times you might know people from their face, especially if they're somebody that's close and you look at them while you're talking with them on LinkedIn. So some of these people I recognize and some of them I don't, but you could click on this, see who's celebrating, and then you could send them a note and say, hey, you don't have to say congratulations on your work anniversary. You could just say, hey, you popped up in my LinkedIn profile and I was thinking about you and I wanted to say hi and see how you were doing. And then, of course, there's congratulations on a new job, happy birthday. When people show up in the news, you'll get notifications of that as well. So it's something to take advantage, get notifications in your email a lot of times. So it's something to take advantage of. Now, here is a cool thing that you can do. LinkedIn gives you access to all of your LinkedIn data, including information about your contacts. So I highly recommend that you download this information. I'll show you where to get it. You go to under me, or there is a profile section in the old version, but it's up here in the right corner. And you pull it down, and there's settings and privacy. I think it's just settings in the old version. I'm not sure. But under settings and privacy, click on that, and you can scroll down to in basics. Let's see if we can get that to show. Get an archive of your data. Click on that, and mine might show download still because I did this recently. No. And you've got a couple of options. Fast file will get you probably everything you need. It includes your connections, and let me show you what you get when you do that. I actually didn't. You're going to have to look at my desktop for a moment because I forgot. Wait, no, I made a slide of this. Get this information. Here's what it looks like. You get a first name, a last name, a position, company, and email address. And this is super useful information. It gives you the opportunity to go through a spreadsheet and get in touch with people instead of having to look through the LinkedIn contacts manager, which is very difficult to use. You have to scroll through it, and it really is a pain. So this is a great way to do this. You can, one of the things that I do with some of these is to send out small batches of emails, maybe 5 people at a time or something like that. If you wanted to, you could upload it to an email sending program. I don't know that I recommend that. At a certain point, you violate canned spam regulations, and you need to be careful of that. I believe that you can do it once without violating those regulations, but I'm not sure. But you definitely don't want to start spamming your list. But it's good to know that you have it. I recommend that you do this after you get off this call. You never know when LinkedIn or any social media platform is going to change the rules on you. And if LinkedIn gets upset and they decide that this is somehow being abused, then maybe they'll take the email addresses away from you. I do this every month, maybe every 3 months maximum. I want to make sure that I have an up-to-date version of all of the people on my LinkedIn, and I highly recommend that you do the same. So, how do you leverage your existing network? First of all, I'll break it down into a few different levels. Class A would be people that I would get in touch with on an individual basis, and these would be maybe, I know what they're doing in their job, or I have maybe a personal relationship and I want to get in touch with them and really talk with them as an individual. Class B are people that you know, but you don't necessarily need to get in touch with in such an intimate or personalized way. And then Class C is everybody else. Now this is an entire class to go over this, how to do this. But I want to just show you one thing, and you can use this template because I think it's really pretty cool. This is somebody got in touch with me who I would have been his Class B connection. And this was the message that he sent, and he got me on the phone, even though I didn't know him. There was this subject line, help me with my LinkedIn goal, the reason for reaching out. And this just gave some background for the message. And the slides are going to be shared so that you can look at this later. I don't want to read through this whole thing. It's a little bit long. The WIFM, very important. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? That's something to keep in mind with everything that you're doing when you're dealing with another person in business or otherwise, really in life. But in this case, he intrigued me because in the second sentence, you'll see it says, my goal is to learn more about what you do and how I can help with introductions, resources, expertise, how I can help you. So that means that this is not somebody that is just looking out for himself, but he wants to figure out a way that he can interact with me. There's no pressure with this, which is the soft pitch, and I like that. I don't need to respond to him if I don't want to. He is offering social proof, which is great. He's had other conversations like this with other people. And then finally, you'll want to have a call to action. Let's set up a call in the next few weeks. And setting up a call is most likely your call to action. So again, this will be in the slide deck that you'll get after, so I won't leave this up here. Now, the way to create a new network, there are a couple. One is through InMails, which you can use, but they're expensive. You need to have the special LinkedIn program, but you don't need one to actually invite new contacts into your network. This is the core of the system that we teach, is the systemization of actually reaching out to people and then capturing their information, beginning a conversation, systemizing the outreach over time, and then automating and ultimately outsourcing. That really is the step-by-step program that we use and that we teach. The place to start with this is to know what it is that you're going after. You need to know what your objectives are, and you need to know who you're going after as well. So both of those are really important. Even before you get started writing your profile, in fact, I would put this at really the beginning. The way that you set up your program is to look at it as a sales funnel. You're setting goals for yourself, and you can make some assumptions. How many connection requests, conversations, live conversations, final interviews, and so on will lead to one contract. And everybody's numbers are going to be different here. I tend to think of how many connection requests. I usually just start with 100 to one contract or offer and measure it. You need to see. You need to figure it out as you go. But this is how to think about it. Now, this is how you want to build your funnel step by step. First thing you're going to do is connect with the people, with your target personas. These are people that fit the definition that you're going after. Once you've connected with them, once they've accepted a connect request, you're going to reach out to those prospects directly and start an electronic conversation. When you're doing this, you're always going to want to provide some kind of value, an article, an offer of an introduction, something that shows that person that you are not only interested in what they're interested in, but that you have something that you're going to be able to provide to those people. And then, and this is very important, you want to systemize your outreach and follow up with it step by step by step. The follow-up is more important than having an absolute large number of people that you're reaching out to. So it's better to have 50 or 100 people in a system than it is to have 500 people that you just send connection requests out to and sort of hope that a conversation emerges. This is a cool thing that you can do. When you do a search, let's see. I know I had a search somewhere. We're going to have to start a new search. Let's say get executive New York financial services. Oh, I spelled New York wrong. I don't think that's going to matter. Oh, okay. All right, so here are search results. Now, clearly, you're probably going to want to narrow this. There are 140, almost 141,000 results here. But if you can save this search here. Let's see. Where is the save search? Okay. Oh, you have to. Okay, I'm not going to go too far down this path. This is just a cool trick that I want to show you. What you can do is you can do a Control-C with this. Or right-click copy. You grab this out of the search bar, and then you're going to be able to plug it in another time with a Control-V or paste and see the results of that search another time. So if you have you have search results that you can't get through at one point, and then you can actually just grab that, put it into a spreadsheet, and then when you're ready, you could go back to that and you see you've got the 141,000 results that are that pop up for that search. Now, how would you like it if people actually came to you instead of you reaching out to them? Wouldn't that be cool? That's not a survey. Hopefully you're all saying yes in your minds. All right, so this is how you can get that done. Now, first of all, people will reach out to you, but this also gives you the opportunity to see who has looked at your profile, gives you the opportunity to reach out to them if you want. And in order to do this with more than at least with the last version, with the old version, you could look at 5 people. If you didn't have the premium version, with the premium version, you can go, for at least 3 months and probably more to see who's been checking you out. This is the most popular feature that LinkedIn has, as I understand it. And so a lot of people like doing that. And it also gives you an opportunity, since people are using this feature, to be able to take advantage of that. And you should know that people may be looking at you, looking at them. So some people feel like they want to be anonymous on LinkedIn. That's fine. If you don't want people to know that you're looking at them, that's fine. I understand that. But recognize that then people are not going to check out your profile because they won't have access to it. And you also, I don't think, will be able to look at theirs either. This is a way that you can get people to look at your profile passively. And what you do is you set up this program called Duck Soup. And Duck Soup, you'll see, has a button on it called Visit Profiles. And what this does is it actually goes through profiles one by one by one, and it will make it look as though you are visiting those profiles. There's a free version and there's a pro version. The free version, it will only visit 100 profiles a day. It doesn't allow you to download data and some other things, but it does allow you to tag profiles. And I'll just give you a quick look at what that is. It's right up in here. This little guy here is my Duck Soup person, or a Duck Soup duck. And let's see, I can, let's see, how do I get this guy running? Here we go. And I hit Visit Profiles on this, and it will start going through each profile, and you'll see what this looks like. I'm only going to do this for a second. It's now visiting them one by one. So you conduct a search for whatever area you want, and then you let this run in the background. And you leave the tab open, but you can go do other work. And it's sort of a hack, so you don't want to do this too much. You'll see that it runs and it pauses, and it pauses for a minute or 2 minutes. So it looks like you have actually a person doing this. And as a result of this, you'll get people inviting you and looking at your profile more than you have in the past. So there's one that you can go out if you want to get people looking at your profile. And this is something that came to me as a result. Somebody checked out I checked out this person's profile on Duck Soup, and they asked if I wanted to have a quick conversation, which is nice, but there's something missing in here, which is the WIFM, the what's in it for me, because understanding mutual interests is not a really compelling what's in it for me statement, and I never got back in touch with this person. So let's take a look at what we've got here. First thing you want to do is put together a compelling keyword-rich headline, and you're off in the right direction as far as that goes. Overhaul your profile. It's not a CV. It's not a resume. You want to highlight the solution that you bring to a business problem. Include a blog post in your profile that makes your profile look nice. It highlights your credibility. It draws views, and it just enhances the way that your profile looks. You can reconnect with you want to reconnect with your existing network, the most powerful thing that you have on LinkedIn. And you'll want to do this once you have your profile overhauled, by the way, and especially the next step, because people are going to go and they're going to look at your background and they want to see what you're about. So you want to be compelling when they go and look. And that's particularly true when you connect with your new network, and when you start following up in a systemized way that, keep in mind, should add value. Always keep in mind that with them, you want to add value each time you connect with a person, each time you reach out. And then one of the passive strategies that you can implement, and there are more, is to view other people's profiles using Duck Soup, or even if you don't use Duck Soup, as you're surfing around people's different profiles, you'll find that that they will start to look at you as well. So it's a passive interest attracting strategy. So we're going to get to questions, but there are some things here that we didn't cover, obviously, in terms of these systems, automating things, outsourcing things, some of the depth in a number of these different areas. And so I'd just like to share with you what we've got that will answer all of your questions. If you want more information about this, there's a link at the bottom of the screen. It's actually been at the bottom of every single slide. It's linkedinternationally.com. And if you go there, then you'll see there's a video of me. You actually get to see what I look like. And well, you saw it in the first slide, but you get to see me talking. And then I'll explain in more depth what it is that program is about, and and what you can get out of it. But it will significantly enhance your ability to use LinkedIn. It's starting next Tuesday. So if you're interested, now is the time to act. So I guess we're at the questions part of our presentation now. Alexandra, do you want to pick it up from here, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Jason. I think this was a really interesting look at LinkedIn from a totally different perspective than we typically get. So with you as the executive recruiter, you're really looking at ways to systematize, mass messaging and make the best use of your time and really get a good bang for your buck with thinking about Duck Soup, for example. I didn't even know about the LinkedIn posting extension that you mentioned. Just a really good way to maximize your time. So very, very interesting. We do have some questions coming in, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. We only have a few minutes, but like Jason mentioned, he offers his online training, and we also have free career services through the Hyatt Career Center as well. So a couple questions for you here, Jason. So speaking of systematizing, what is the line between systemizing contact and contacting people who aren't interested or who aren't responding? How do you kind of get around that?
Well, systemizing LinkedIn has to do more with not necessarily chasing people and hounding them, but keeping track of the activities that you're involved in. And you want to have a certain, I guess, a schedule, for lack of a better word, that you're using in order to attract, in order to get people's attention, and in order to engage in a conversation. And when you do that, and you've got that set up in a systematic way, then you don't need to worry about it. So you start at the beginning, you say, okay, I mapped out this program. It's something that I'm comfortable with, that I think somebody else will be comfortable with, and I'll just execute it. And you know what? Every once in a while, people are going to get a little annoyed, and okay, that's all right. You're not going to annoy everybody. If you annoy 2 people out of 100, that's okay. But the idea with systemizing is really about keeping track of the data, keeping track of the numbers, and making sure that you know what the results are of what you're doing, so that you're able to more effectively use your time each time you go out with the next batch of outreach, let's say.
Okay, great points. One question that I think could be interesting for folks in terms of maximizing your time, if you already have blog posts on another platform, does it make sense to post one of those in your profile? I would say yes, absolutely. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. There's one potential glitch with that, and this is another thing. This has to do with Google's algorithm, and I really don't know the answer to this, but I've heard people say that if you have the same content on 2 different pages, that you're penalized by Google for having the exact same content. So if that's the case, and I don't know that that's the case, then you'd want to have a slightly different post on LinkedIn from your blog. But you could modify maybe a few sentences or something. But absolutely 100%. And frankly, if you have to make a choice between having it on your blog and having it on LinkedIn, you may want to consider just having it on LinkedIn, because you're going to drive much more traffic there. Most people will anyway. Will drive more traffic to a LinkedIn post than to a blog. And if you don't blog, if you don't post the entire blog, then at least publicize it on LinkedIn. So take a link and put it in your feed, where I was showing you. You could. I mean, it will actually bring up whatever picture you have on your blog. So if you don't blog it in two places, then absolutely promote it. Promote it in groups in the way that I showed you for sure. LinkedIn is a great outlet for that.
Great, thanks, Jason. Question here about optimizing your LinkedIn profile when you wear multiple hats. So this listener, for example, is a business attorney, but also an educator. So he's wondering, should you dilute your branding by addressing all hats, or focus purely on one path? What are your thoughts on that?
That is such a tricky one to answer. And actually, I've had to answer it myself. And so I'm just gonna take a moment and show you my profile, because I actually face that issue, being both an executive recruiter with a client base of executive search clients and candidates, and then I also am doing the LinkedIn training. So let's see. So I'm doing LinkedIn training, and so this is how I resolved it. And again, it's forward-looking. Hopefully, this will come up soon here. It's forward-looking. It's aspirational, and so. That's something to keep in mind if you want to be more of an educator as opposed to an attorney. Then you're going to want to. Why did that happen like that? Oh, Duck Soup is still running. Let me shut you off. Let's see. I want to shut this guy off. Oh boy. All right. I don't want to take too much time here with this. Right.
I think just to pick up where you were going, Jason, I think it also depends on why you're on LinkedIn. So if you are wearing multiple hats, but your business development hat for your law practice is your priority right now, you could make your profile be more focused on law and downplay the education piece. But I think the best part about LinkedIn is that space isn't at a premium as it is with your resume. And so you can use your summary section to merge both of those interests, and then downplay or enhance whichever pieces are your biggest priority at this time.
Yep, I think that absolutely makes sense. And if you're still in a quandary, this is how I resolved it. I've got executive search on the left. I've got LinkedIn Internationally on the right. It's a split screen, and then my headline is Recruiting Management Consultants and Helping Professionals Grow Using LinkedIn, and that finds itself through my profile, and it's a bit of a dilemma for me too, to be honest with you. But that's where I find myself, and this is how I've solved the problem.
Great. Couple questions that we're getting about recommendations. So one, are recommendations helpful? And then two, how should you go about recommending folks and receiving recommendations in return?
My screen again. There are two things here. Two things here. Recommendations show up, and they've changed. The number have changed. Let's see if we can find somebody else's profile. I think that they were showing up with 2 recommendations underneath each job, and they changed it to 1. I just want to take a quick look and see what it looks like. This will tell you how it's important. Highlight activities, experience. No, they've changed a little bit here. I think it's good to have at least a couple of recommendations. It used to be really important because they would actually show up underneath each position. They've changed that with the new interface. It's not quite as prominent and maybe not as important here. Featured skills and endorsements, definitely not as important. But you'll see here they're all the way at the bottom now. So they're they're de-emphasizing the importance of recommendations. That said, it's a good idea to at least have a couple, and a good way to get them is to offer them. And if you offer them, and you can usually get one in return. You can, of course, ask as well. It's a little tricky to find them. If you go to, let's see if I just got the here. If you go to LinkedIn, I don't know if you can see this Rex, linkedin.com/Rex right here. That'll allow you to recommend people or ask for a recommendation, receive recommendation, that kind of thing. So that's kind of your recommendation warehouse.
Great, Jason. We are getting in so many questions, and we're already over time here. So I want to give you a moment to just sum up in one sentence your presentation today, and then in a moment I'll let folks know how they can continue to learn more. So thank you all so much for your questions. There will be an opportunity to get answers to them, and I'll tell you a little bit about that shortly. But Jason, back to you for a quick sum up.
Be aspirational with everything you do with LinkedIn. That is what you're aspiring to, what you want to do and be in the future. And look and make sure that you're focused on the problem that you're solving for others, whether it's in the WIFM part that I talked about there towards the end, or it's in your profile. You want to project your ability to solve somebody else's problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. Really interesting tips, different perspective, like I said. Folks, I want to let you know about some other upcoming things that you might be interested in as it relates to LinkedIn. So if you could pop on my next slide, that would be excellent. So the first thing, we offer our webinars once a month, every month. So please take a moment to fill out the satisfaction survey. The link will be in your follow-up email to let us know how we did. You'll also get the link to our recording of today's presentation as well. We have 2 April webinars coming up. One is about work-life compatibility. The other is about cultural inclusion and leadership. So we hope you'll join us for both of those. But I also wanted to add, there's so many practical step-by-step how-tos that we didn't get to today, just because an hour is not enough to talk about LinkedIn. So I will be offering a couple follow-up LinkedIn demos, one about profile building and the other about reaching out to contacts to build upon what Jason talked about today and to show you the new interface, a little demo of that. So we are in the process of scheduling those, and you will get an email probably next week with the dates and a link to sign up. So I hope you'll join us then so we can answer some more of your questions. People are asking about endorsements and groups and how to combine multiple interests. So we'll try to get to as many of those questions as we can in those demos. We also have Brandeis LinkedIn groups on LinkedIn, specifically for alumni and students and the greater Brandeis community to connect. So for sure, take advantage of those, and you'll also get the links to those in your follow-up email. Now lastly, I just wanted to share my own contact information with you. Again, my name is Alexandra Stevens. I am the Associate Director of Alumni Career Programs at Brandeis, and always willing to hear your thoughts and feedback about our webinar programs and anything else you'd like to see. We do offer free career services for life to all undergraduate alumni, so you'll be able to take advantage of that as well. That could include LinkedIn profile reviews, for example. So Jason, if you could just flip to the next slide, that's my contact info. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. Again, thanks for taking the time, the last 66 minutes on this Thursday afternoon. Jason, thanks again for sharing your expertise with us. We so appreciate it. And we hope to see you online for our April webinars.